In this video we're going to take a look at how you use the mouse to manipulate cells in Excel. First thing we're going to take a look at is the big fat white plus sign, and this is the cursor that's used to select data in Excel. And whenever you want to select, make sure it's the fat white plus sign, which is what it is most of the time when you're moving around here. Okay. Notice that one of the place where you started is going to stay white when you make a selection, but it's still part of the selection because it's still inside the rectangle here. So just click and drag anytime you want to select something. If you want to select an entire column, just click on the column. If you want to select multiple columns, just click and drag across those columns. If you want to select columns that are not adjacent to one another, click on the first column and then hold the control key down and, whoops, I clicked on the shift key. Hold the control key down and you can make non-adjacent selections. And by the way, the same thing works with rows. You can select multiple rows by dragging the mouse through the row numbers over here. If you want to select non-adjacent rows, you can hold the control key down and select whatever rows you want. And you can do that when you're just selecting, random odd-shaped ranges here. If I've got some stuff here I want to select and then some stuff over here that I want to select, just hold the control key down. It's like any other thing in Windows. If you want to do a non-adjacent selection, you just hold the control key down in most Windows applications. Okay. Now, let's actually put a couple numbers in here, 1, 2, 3. And when you position the cursor around the edge of a selected cell, you'll get a four-headed arrow. And when you get the four-headed arrow, that means that you can move it. So if I click and drag when I've got a four-headed arrow, it'll move the contents of the cell to wherever I take the mouse to. I'm going to undo that with a Control Z. And the other thing here is when you move around the edge, you get a four-headed arrow, except when you go to the lower right-hand corner where that little square is. And then you get a little black plus sign called the fill handle, and that's used to copy. So if I want to copy ones all the way across the row, I can get that fill handle and drag it across. I'm going to undo that with Control Z. And if I want to drag it down, I can do that, but it wipes out my 2 and 3 if I do that, so I'm going to do a Control Z again to undo it. I can also, if you give it a sequence, the first two numbers in a sequence, and click and drag, it'll continue the sequence for you. Some other cursor shapes, when you get up here, if you want to change the width of a column, use the two-headed arrow. If you want to change the height of a row, go to the bottom of the row and make it taller. And I'm going to undo that with a Control Z here so we get it back the way it was before, and do the same thing up here, do another Control Z, and now I've got my original column width. So those are your basic cursor shapes in Excel.